Hello, everyone. Okay, looks like everything is running smoothly. So, yeah, I'm gonna get busy painting on my vase again. I did this publicly a couple of weeks ago.
Hello,
Whoops, hang on
everyone.
one sec. There we go. Much better. You don't need to hear me twice. That's way too much of me. Um, anyway, yeah, I started this one a few weeks ago, and I've been making some really good progress on it, I think. So let's take a looky over here again. Hello, Eileen. Welcome. Um, I've been working on this a little bit with my members. So they saw me do this bit on the wood, making that wood look super old. Hello, JoJo. It's not done, but it is getting there. This table is kind of what I want to work on today because I just nudge things toward a finish line rather than, work on one element until it's completed. So nothing you see here is completely done yet. But it's getting there. I would say I'm probably, yeah, I'm probably about halfway done. So there's still quite a bit of work to do. But yeah, I need to work on this table today. So let me set you up so that you can see the table nicely. Let's see. Love to paint wood grain and just make wood look super old and weathered and worn. So I'm pretty excited about this part today. Hello, everyone in chat who I have not been able to say hi yet to. Oh, thank you so much. We have a subscriber since 2016 in here. Pretty sure we have a couple of those. I know Eileen has been with me for quite a while. Annie, I think so too. Saudi Arabia, oh my gosh. That's so awesome. Thanks for being here. All right, so let me just kind of tell you what I'm going to be doing on this table. It's mostly as a way for me to kind of think through the process so that I know exactly what it is that I'm doing. Obviously, there's a window up here, and so there's light coming through. And so this corner, especially leading here, needs to be quite a bit brighter. This, it's not too far off, but yeah, it's not quite there yet. And then, of course, everything else there. That's true. You have been with me the longest because that's my ma. So, yeah. And this is all very smooth looking. You can tell I've started kind of pulling some individual boards out, but that's really as far as I got. It is too fair. All right, let's see. I got to get rid of my old matte medium. Matte medium does not live in a wet palette too well. It gets gross. Can you see that? That's matte medium. It just gets kind of like a putty. It's pretty gross. So that's pretty much what I do to my wet palette every day before I start painting is get rid of the old matte medium. Disgusting. It's still usable. I just don't like it. Okay. So, I think the first thing that I need to do to start working on this table to lighten it, I'm all using my mouse on the screen as if you can see that, to start lightening it, is I need to work on the texture and the darker values first. Yeah, so let's work on some texture. This is what I was saying in my Facebook post that I was going to be um, working on showing you some fairly simple ways to do wood texture. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm using a stiff brush. This is my number, whatever it is, number 4. Um, and I love this part of a painting. So since I'm working on my dark values right now, I'm just mixing up the darkest color that I can, which is just a mixture of browns and blue, and brown and blue make the best chromatic blacks. I think they're my favorite anyway. Lots of water because I'm going to do some flicking. If you guys have questions, put them in chat and I will do my best to keep up. All right. And then I just kind of like to smear some of them. Don't waste the paint that's on your finger, put it somewhere else. Not really worried about that. Hello, Tammy. Ah, oil. Do you use acrylic too? I do some oil. I was just looking at my oil paint today and thinking, God, I have not painted in oil in so long. Just kind of finishing up the rest of this super wet paint that's on my brush. So what's everybody been up to this week? Anybody doing any painting or anything fun? Let's see if I can darken that ever so slightly more. Here's a tip for those of you who work with chromatic black. Remember, a chromatic black is a black that you mix from color. If you work with chromatic blacks and you want the color to feel like it's darker than it actually is, just mix it slightly more on the blue side. So that'll help it feel a little bit darker. So I don't know if you can tell this color's, it's quite blue. It's kind of it's almost a greenish grayish blue. Oh, Annie, I hope you do, because you did really great work. I know that, feeling like you were beholden to a bunch of rules was really stressful, and I can't say I blame you, but I hope you do. All right. This is going to be the shadow, and I want it to be nice and dark. No hard lines, though. I'm okay with my shadow getting too big because I'm going to be putting the light color over top of it, and the light colors are opaque, so they'll cover it. So yeah, I would way rather have too much shadow because I'm going to lose some of it when I put the lighter color on than not enough dark shadow and lose most of it once that light color goes on. Exactly. You have to learn the rules and then break them. And I know that uh, that sounds like time wasting, right? You're gonna learn the rules and then break them, but you don't know what rules to break or how or why until you know them. And yeah, I think it's important to learn the rules and then just straight up break them and trash them and just absolutely destroy them. That's the best way to go, I think. Okay, let's work on some of the board lines a little bit. I've got a bit of texture there now that's gonna read as like cracks and maybe dust or little bits of the flowers that have fallen off. So now, let's see. I'm going to use just a tiny little round brush, just a little guy. But with that same super dark mixture. Super, super dark. I might need my mall stick because all those splatters are still wet and I don't want to stick my hand in it and smear it. My mall stick is fancy. It's just an old cruddy paintbrush that I think I accidentally glued the bristles together, so I just wrapped it in tape and there's mall stick. So I can rest my hand on it instead of on the canvas. I like the idea that this piece of wood has kind of popped up over the years. It's kind of come up, making the table a little wonky. We'll just give it just a couple little like cracks or something. Just breaking that edge. It was a very straight line. And I don't want a real straight line. That takes away from the look of, old wood if everything is really crisp. Yes. So, Annie, when you go back to it, all I want you to do is play. I want you to ignore every single oil painting rule you've ever learned. Just completely ignore it and just go for it. Don't worry about, you know, is it going to work? Is it going to peel? Is it going to crack? Is it whatever? Don't worry about that. You just need to do it and have fun with it. And then you can start adding the rules back in as you find a need for them. Yes. Ooh, yeah. Sourman, did I say that right? Said that the best brushes for texturing are old brushes, and that is a actual fact. Um, I want to do a video soon where I show you guys how to take old cruddy brushes and turn them into your favorite brush because I love doing that. I love it, love it. I have resuscitated many old yucky brushes lately, making new ones. When I look at this board that I'm working on, those splatters, it almost looks like I have a knot in the wood. And so I'm going to pull that forward just a bit right in here. You can kind of see this shape. Sorry, I was kind of holding my breath there. Salmon. All right. Gotcha. Yep, those fuzzbirds, man. We love them. Just some options in the texture there. I might lose some of those texture lines. I might decide to paint some of them out. But just like my shadow, I would rather have more options than fewer. So if you don't have a steady hand, then painting wood like this is right up your alley. You should definitely do this because you want some little screwy, wobbly lines. I'm not going to use my maul stick this time, so my hand is just going to be floating in the air. And I'm a little shaky today. I think my electrolytes are off, so I'm going to lean into that shakiness. Yeah, I do use references. I don't, lately I've been trying to get away from using like full image references. Uh, so I'll kind of look at like a ton of different photos and that's just kind of piece them together in a way that I want because there's rarely ever do I find an image that I'm like, oh yeah, I love everything about this. Like this one, I'm not even using reference images anymore right now. This is just coming out of my head. But to get started, I used the vase and the window came from one. The curtains came from another, and then the tabletop. I'm kind of using a reference image for the tabletop, but I've painted a lot of tabletops like this, so I don't feel like I need a lot of help there, but yeah. Um when I'm doing my landscapes, just because they're a little more abstract, and a tree can look like whatever you want it to be, but when I'm doing my landscapes, I don't typically use references for those, no. All right, let's just give the end of this board a little bit of character because it's really crisp and I don't want it so crisp. It'll take a couple of layers because the dark colors are so transparent. Oh, for the wood cracks? Nope. I kind of follow what's there and make cracks out of that. So, like when I was splattering, when I was doing all the splattering and the wiping, that's when I made some of these marks, and they looked like that one looked like a knot, or this one already kind of looked like a little bit of a crack, and so I just kind of pull out those things that I'm already seeing there. But no, I think from uh, experience, if I try to follow a reference image for something as abstract and as organic as like cracks in old wood, then I find that everything ends up being way too tight. I need to follow that line though. because it looks like there's a line right here that I could follow, but that doesn't actually meet up to that one in a believable way. So my line is actually going to be right about there. Yeah, much better. Just a suggestion of one there. That should be good. Let's get some light colors in now. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks, Eileen. Yeah, I've been painting wood grain for a lot of years. And most of the tutorials that I have on my channel for wood grain follow these exact same uh, principles that I'm doing, but on a much simpler, excuse me, on a much simpler level. So if you want to learn wood grain, just check out a few of them that I have and start with the more simple ones because that's exactly where I started doing wood grain. Let's see, I'm going to go down to a little filbert now because I'm going to start working in some of the lighter colors for the tabletop. Now, you want to remember when like natural light, the light is coming from outside and it hits directly, it's going to, makes a really light color on there. That color is going to have a hint of blue to it. It's not going to be just a really light brown. That's just going to look peach and strange. And I know it feels weird, but trust me, you want to get some blue in there. So I'm going to use, not this one. This one's all jelly. Let's see, one sec. Let me get rid of that. I'm going to be using cobalt teal. Where did that paper towel go? Here it is. But cobalt teal, Golden's cobalt teal anyway, it does not like being in a wet palette either. Turns into this awful, you see that? It's not dry. It's just like a little rubbery ball. It's gross. But yeah, I'm going to put that color in the tabletop. Come on. There we go. Okay. Cabins. I'll put a cabin in here for you. Oh, thanks, Annie. Thank you so much, Joanne. You're so sweet. I mean, obviously, I am not going to come in here and be like, with this bright, pure teal. I'm going to dirty it up really with the same colors. And then just lighten it. You can use pure white to lighten if you want. I don't use pure white. But I think I need, yeah, I need to use Titan green for this part. Just because it's a little bit of a dirty white. And that's what I want. And it might not be the exact color that I want just yet, but I'm not worried about it because I'm going to work in layers and I can glaze it to fix it if it's not right. So I want to be careful with it. I'm not trying to paint in everything and lose what I just did, but I'm also not trying to be stingy with it. See how bright that color is? And it's so blue compared to everything else. That's a lot better. Not quite there yet, but that is much closer to what I was going for. Kind of messed up the shape of my vase, and that's okay because the vase is not done. Okay. Just fade it into my shadow there. Sorry guys, sometimes when I get to this part of a painting, the details, sometimes it's really hard for me to talk at the same time. So when I get really quiet, it's because I'm kind of in the zone. Let's zoom out and see how that's looking. That is starting to agree with the window a lot more. A lot more. Oh, the golden quinacridone magenta does that too? Yeah, the green gold does too. A lot of Golden's colors will kind of get jellified in my wet palette. I'm going to darken it just a little bit as we start coming this way. Maybe make it just a hint warmer. I think some of those spots were still a little wet, blended in, but that's okay. I don't usually do any blending with acrylic. Um, I still get asked so much or hear people complain so much that they have a hard time with acrylic because it dries so fast. And I know exactly what you mean. And that's exactly why I decided to stop trying to blend. I just, it's hard to do and can lead to a lot of overworking. So I just don't blend anymore. I paint onto dry paint almost exclusively now. The little specks don't matter if they're still a little wet, but yeah, I'm not blending into that brown on the bottom, but it kind of looks like it's being blended just because this paint is so thin that it's transparent and you can see the brown through it. And just a little tiny bit darker and warmer for the last one. Oh yeah, man. Here we go. This table is looking good. I'm going to take this same mixture that I'm using here and do a bit over here because it kind of fades. If the vase weren't here, you would see it fade from the brighter to a little bit lighter over here. So I'm going to use this. Uh-oh. My terrifying dog is going to start barking. Sorry. And just a bit over here. Okay, let's zoom out so that we can see it with everything else and decide if that's good. Woo, little crooked there. Oh, that is much better. Still not there yet, but that is miles better than it was. Do I use blue on the edge of the shadow? Um, which part do you mean? Like here? Um, it's made of blue. There's quite a bit of blue in it, but yeah, not specifically like an edge of it. I'm gonna mix up that again. The color I used on the brightest bit on the table, but I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter because the windowsill um, is obviously not correct. Yeah, it's super dry here where I am too. So yeah, it dries very fast. I want this windowsill to look really old and a little beat up. So I'm not gonna go like make a super hard edge. I'm gonna keep some of that. I mean, I can put it back in, but I like the complex look when some of it is poking out and some of it isn't. And Just went a little over here, not a ton. It's getting better. Just dropping bits of it here and there. Thank you. Wow, that color I used on this board was super transparent. It's almost, you almost can't even see that I put anything on it. Okay. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting there. Let's do a little bit more splattering. Just bring some of that back up. Um, yeah, let's do that first. I might warm up some of these splatters a bit because they can read as dust or bits of the flowers that have fallen off. I don't need them to be dark, dark. So I leaned it more on the brown side than on the blue side here. I'm not too worried about the base. I feel like this would look a little bit better if the light kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Just gonna darken the edges here a bit and let the light kind of come down. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Okay. I'm gonna let that dry though because, oh, I didn't want to wash that. We need to splatter the windowsill too because there's like dust and dead bugs and who knows what else. hanging out on that window, so. Just get something a little tiny bit darker for variation. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry. And then come back to it. Hello, Beth. Oh, welcome, Sasha. I'm glad you made it. It's changed a little bit, hasn't it? Hello, Joanne. I'm glad that you made it too. All right, let's see. Oh, we're already all zoomed out. What do I want to do next? I know probably a lot of you want me to do the glass next, but I'm not ready to do that. I'm not ready to do the glass until the table is done, or at least super, super close to it. Um, yeah, yep, I want it to look a little dusty. Just kind of evaluating how I want to change the table. And so, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some of this color, this brighter color, and I might even lighten it a little bit more and draw it down kind of this way, right about in that area. And I need to bring a little bit more light kind of down this area. I like how dark that is. I think it looks really good, but I don't think that that's quite. I just feel like a little bit more light than that would be coming through the window. So, yeah. Um, oh, I'm so glad. Thank you. Yeah, I forgot about that koi fish. We did that a long time ago, huh? Um, let's work on the window frame because this window frame is just like in the beginning stages. So it looks not swell yet, but that's okay because it's not done. Come on. Sorry guys if I'm making you dizzy. Okay, there we go. Okay. So I need to bring a little bit more of that yellow, this yellow here, into that. So we'll start there. And again, I want it to look cracked and peeling. So, guys, what are your biggest challenges that you feel like you deal with when painting? With acrylic paint or whatever kind of paint you use, or, whatever. It doesn't have to be acrylic. Just what are some of your biggest challenges that you feel like you face when you make art? For me, I feel like lately I kind of feel almost like I am. Sometimes I feel stuck in a rut. Like I do things the exact same way every time, which on one hand is great because it's a technique that I've developed over years that I know works for me and, helps me achieve the things that I want to achieve. But at the same time, I get a little bored. I get a little bored doing things the same way every time. So sometimes I find myself kind of hitting a wall where I feel like I can't really paint because my brain is insisting that I reinvent the wheel, that I do things different than I've been doing them. And so I try that, but I also try to approach it with the confidence that I'm able to approach a painting when I'm doing it this way. And that sometimes leads to just completely making something that looks straight up amateur and terrible. And then I get frustrated and go back to doing it the way I've always done it anyway. So that's a challenge that I face quite a lot, I feel like. And it does the details. Yeah, I understand that. The edges, constantly thinking about values. Yeah, exactly. So Annie says, I'm constantly thinking about my values. So value refers to how light or dark something is. I know they're important, but I painted a lot more before I learned about them. So, yeah, Annie, this month in the member group is for you then. I promise. We're going to simplify values for you. Stick with me, kid. I'll help you out with your values. Because once I started focusing on values, I feel like that's when my art took off. That's like for me. I mean, I'm not saying, that's when everybody started buying all my stuff because we're still waiting for that. But that's when I started making the art that I was really proud of. Was as soon as I started paying very close attention to my values. Joanne getting depth with contrast. So again, that's going to be values. Values. Um, Excellent, Meta. I'm so excited to see that. Yeah, Annie, get caught up on this week's for sure because I think values is a really fun, I think it's a fun lesson. And it's going to, our color theory lessons that we're going to do next month in the membership group are going to piggyback right off of our values lessons. So you want to make sure that you've got that. I know that color's the exciting part. Value is it's more boring when you want to get right to the colors, but I love the value painting part. I think the value painting and details, those are my favorite parts of every painting. The little pops of that yellow in there behind the flowers. Oh no, your clocks don't change? Yeah, we had our time change, so I'm still like kind of I'm so loopy. And I know it's because of the time change. All right, let's work on the shadow side of the window frame. Um, Here's another little tip for like easy detail stuff. So that window, the window frame is way too small for me to splatter and wipe like I did the tabletop. But to get a similar effect, here's a tip for you. So I have my brush loaded up with my paint, and then I picked up a little matte medium. See, I didn't blend it. I just tapped into it and got a little bit. And I'm going to put the edge of my brush, not flat, the edge very lightly on here. And that matte medium sometimes is going to touch and leave no color behind. And then it'll smear, and you just get a little bit more of a broken kind of random type effect. So I'm going to start here and just. I'm just going to pick up a little bit more. I think my window needs to be a little bit, the frame needs to be a little bit wider down here. It's a little narrow. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. That's a bit much, my medium. There we go. All right, what time is it? 7 years of artist block. Oh, I went through it for a solid year straight, but yeah, 7 is a lot. Um, all right, let's see. What time is it? It's almost 1. Do you guys want to hang out for a few more minutes, or do you want to go? Whatever you want to do. If you guys are willing to hang out with me for a bit, I will hang out with you guys for a bit longer. Um, I'm going to work on this a little bit more. This piece of wood here that's like on the outside of the window, kind of facing inward. Stick around. Heck yes. Need to get just a hint of a brighter yellow in there. I know that looks pretty bright, but I'm not going to leave it really bright like that. The whole, like, this is just too solid, just too much. It doesn't look very weathered. It almost looks freshly painted and chipped, which I don't want that. So we're going to put some little bits in that almost feel like maybe they're a little bit sun faded. And that will kind of help us start to accentuate some of these little cracks. And I've discovered that my favorite color to lighten yellow with is Titan Violet, which I know sounds weird because that's, violet, but it really makes yellow just have a like a glow to it. Yeah, that's looking a lot better. Hello, it's all going to be okay. In the UK, that's awesome. Yeah, where is everybody from? I love to hear, how big our community is, like how far reaching we are. Oh, I don't want to brighten that anymore. Felt like I was sticking my hand in wet paint there. Mm. Oh, yeah, this is looking much better. This wall was kind of bugging me. It just felt so flat. Ooh, we can kind of start pulling some stems out. So this is negative space painting. I had a little bit of some transparent dark over here. So instead of painting the stems in, I'm painting around them. So, it looks like I have a few stems there. One right there. Let's see, where else can we do it? Right here. couple little stems. And it's not the light color that's the stem. It's the dark bit in between. Saudi Arabia, South Carolina. Thank you so much. UK. Just intensify that stem because I want to see the window frame behind it. Yeah. Let's get some of that light bit on the window frame itself. What do you mean? I'm not in the mood. I don't really know what the upside down means. I know that that's like a gasp out loud thing to say because I've said it before, but I don't really know what that means, which is why I'm not responding to it. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Whoops. I'm always in the mood for joking. All right, Eileen, at least I'm not the only one. I can see chat going crazy now, so you guys must be responding to my not knowing what the upside down is. Oh, Stranger Things. Okay. All right, Eileen, I probably don't want to know, do I? Yeah, we started watching it when it first came out, and I was just like, eh. I didn't dislike it, but it didn't grab me the way it seems to have grabbed everybody else in the world. My window is a little lopsided over here. It dips down too far. That's better. It also dips down too far here, but I'll fix that as I go. Middle Earth. I think that's a Lord of the Rings thing, but I could be wrong. I'm also not a big Lord of the Rings fan, which I know is like just terrible. I'm just not big into fantasy. I did like Game of Thrones till the very end, but Okay, I raised my window frame up over here. It's too low here, but like I said, I'll take care of that later. And it's too high right here. I'm pointing those things out because I want you to see that you can recognize like errors or things that need to be changed, but you don't need to drop what you're doing and like, oh, this is wrong. I have to fix that right now, because you don't. You can come back to it. Just want to get a hint of this in here. Just give myself a bit of texture in there. I know that looks terrible, but that's okay. It's just the basis for some texture. Hello, Karen. Yeah, exactly, Eileen. I want you to be able to see that also everyone makes mistakes or, has things about their painting that they don't like, but everything can be fixed. You don't have to go, oh, my window frame is wonky, but I've already painted the glass, so I guess I just have to deal with it or else start over. You don't have to do any of that. You can just keep going. When I get, because the window panes aren't finished either, so when I get to the window panes, I can make those corrections. Just like I told you, I lost a bit of the edge of my vase, primarily, where it touches the table over here. But it's not a big deal because I'm not done with the vase, so I don't have to rush to fix that. Ooh, yellow jackets. Heck yeah, that's one of my favorites. I find that as I work on detail and think I've gotten it perfect, I often come back later and think it needs more work. I don't do that so much anymore just because I've got a little bit more experience with the techniques that I use and the way I approach a painting. But what I do is, I'm always taking breaks from it. I think breaks are important. I think that sometimes people put way too much emphasis on, finishing a painting in one sitting. And I think that that is how you end up with paintings that you don't love, is by forcing that. Um, so I will work on details on something until I'm done for the day and then, leave it. And then when I come back later, then I can see it, fresh and say, oh, okay, I actually need to do a little more on this part or change this. And it's only when just flicking a tiny bit of this dark in there, keep things looking nice and old. You would not believe how much a little bit of flicking can really be the difference between something looking done and something looking flat. But yeah, just learn how to walk away from it when you don't know. If you find you're spending way too much time and energy trying to figure it out or correct things, then I think you need a break and don't come back to it for at least 24 hours. I am gonna glaze some, because this is like an abandoned house. I want this to look like a dead vase of flowers that is just bone dry. It's been sitting on this table for years and years and years. Nobody has been in this house. And one of the ways I'm going to do that is by kind of making it look like there's some stains or whatever. So if your place isn't abandoned, then you don't have to make stains. So this is just a little bit of a brown. Just kind of trashing it up a little. That's better. Let's add just a hint of blue to it. Very transparent. That's looking much better. Okay. Ooh, you guys are going fast. I'm missing stuff. Um, yeah, taking photos of your paintings. I used to do that a lot as I was painting. Do something, stop and take a photo of it. And I don't do that quite so much anymore, just because I've learned how to see a little bit better than I could before what it is that I'm looking for. But I don't know if you guys notice, but as I'm painting, sometimes it'll look like I'm looking at you, but really I'm looking at my painting on the computer screen, because that does the same thing as taking a photo of it. It really does, Karen. That magic fairy visiting at night. Yeah, Tammy, I think you guys see me doing that quite a lot. Like I'll do a little something and then I'll kind of do like this. It's that backing up. It just removes you from it enough so that you can see it. I have a good friend who has a very large mirror on the other side of her studio across from her easel. And she'll, step back and turn to look at the painting in the mirror, because seeing it backwards and at a distance helps her gauge what she's looking at, what she's doing. So, yeah, there's a lot of ways you can do it. If you're fancy like me and you can hook it up to your computer or a TV, a camera, you can do it that way too. Um, yes, you do. You guys do. You expect, well, we all do. I did too. We expect way too much of ourselves way too early. Um, yep. Um, yeah, don't hold yourself to ridiculous standards. Um, and I know that that's easier said than done, because, hi. um, yeah, I do. I hold myself to standards that I wouldn't hold anyone else to, anybody. And I think that's just a normal human thing. But it's really easy for me to tell you, don't do that. But I know that the reality of it is harder. But, just do your best to be nice to my friends. I just need a hint of the light on the opposite side of the frame. I don't want it to be, it's not realistic to have it be just pitch dark on this left side. Since it's a bright day. Oops, sorry, I didn't mute my phone. Better, better, better. Much better. Okay. I really want this part to just look like it's decaying and totally falling apart. So let's work on this little corner again. I'm mixing the darkest color I can, which is a lot of blue. And I'm not going to use any matte medium because I want full saturation dark. I'm not going to paint this whole thing in, but just little shadows, I think, give it that 3D look. Let's kind of make that look like a nail that just got exposed. I think that's kind of what it looks like. Just give it a bright edge right here. And a little smear of some old paint. And then it needs a rusty, like a little rusty trail under it. Oops. All right. All right, what time is it now? Oh, it's almost 1:30. Let's see how it's all coming together. Oh, there we go. I think it's getting there. Though the window frame still needs a lot of work. I think I made the window frame, in this area. It's just a little too busy. Um, but I think that's fine because I'm going to glaze it down anyway. This part is bugging me, so I'm just going to raise that up a bit real quick, and then I'll probably let you guys go. So we've been at this for a while today. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me for an hour and a half. That's pretty sweet. Okay. But sometimes a correction doesn't take much. All I'm going to do is just take this color that kind of matches my window, and I'm just barely going to go up into that. Not even very far. Much better. All right. Okay, that's not bugging me anymore. All right, you guys, I'm going to let you go. And I hope that you learned something today. I hope that you came away with maybe a technique or a trick you want to try, or that it just kind of, gave you a little bit of permission to just go to a canvas and just kind of let loose. Because I want you to remember that painting is not, it's not something that you have to learn how to do right, because there's not a right and a wrong way. Um, there's just however you do it to get the look you achieve, and however I do it to get the look I achieve. And, you know, just go do the thing. That's the important part. Oh, hello, Diane. Uh, yeah. So just go do the thing. And that's the important part. So I'm hoping to get back to you guys next week. I know I didn't make it last week. Things are a little chaotic here right now, but that will be calming down soon. Yeah, so I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you all. Oh my gosh, my mouse has disappeared. All right, I'll see you guys all later. Bye.